Our film today starts with Chachi, who lives in a purely routine circle. He wakes up every day at exactly 7 a.m. to have breakfast and get ready until exactly 8 a.m. Then he heads to work, and after work, he goes to the lab where he monitors food safety until it hits exactly 5 p.m. Then he rushes home. Overall, he's happy living alone, away from people's drama, in a life that everyone sees as boring and routine. But he enjoys it that way. Now let's move to Lee, who goes to a loan company to get a loan. But the employee there refuses because she hasn't paid off her old loan and is also very late with her installments. She keeps telling him, "How am I supposed to pay? I'm unemployed right now, and my daughter is in university. Have a heart, don't you have children yourself?" He says, "No, unfortunately, I don't," and gets up to leave. But she stops him to point out a sign on the wall saying they're hiring trainees. She tells him, "Today I'm going to work with you." Now we meet Suk, who by the way is Chachi's brother, but they're totally different characters. Suk is an ex-con who spent most of his life in prison. Now he's furious because he's served his full sentence, yet his wanted poster is still hanging at the police station. A cop gently tells him they can't change the board now, but not to worry. He'll erase his name so no one recognizes him. After leaving, he goes to his brother's house and tries to open the door but finds it chained. He curses because his brother clearly didn't want to let him in, but Chow reminds him, "You're the one who asked me to put that chain when the police were after you." Suk goes, "Ah, right. Okay, give me money to go gamble. I've missed it." Chow, of course, stays silent and gives him all the cash he has, asking him, "Please win this time." Suk replies, "Son, I always win. But when I lose, it's big. So you'd better always have money ready, because if you go broke, I'll kill you." Back to Lee, who's thrilled she finally got a job. She starts calling people to collect loans, but sadly they all curse her. She says to one of them, "Wow, sir, your pronunciation is excellent. I've never heard someone string insults together so fluently. Anyway, I'll call you again tomorrow to remind you about your payment. Have a nice day." As usual, Chow goes to work exactly on time, but today is different. One of the developers tells him they're working on a new product and are very excited about it. Chow asks, "Why are you excited?" The developer replies, "Just because, boss. Don't ruin it for me. Anyway, I came to tell you that the company's given you time off to relax and take care of your health." This worries Chow, who asks, "Are you trying to fire me?" The guy replies, "Honestly, it depends. You've been suffocating us." Chow returns home, unsure how to live without work. He's bored out of his mind, while his brother is out at bars all night gambling. Lee calls Suk to remind him about his debt. He replies, "You think you're threatening me, do whatever you want." So she contacts Chow instead, since he co-signed for the loan. Chow goes to the company the next day to pay it off before Suk gets arrested. There, a little girl comes in with her father, and Chow plays with her until it's his turn. When Lee processes his payment, she becomes very impressed with him. He's a kind man. She learns he's 45 and still single. She says, "I'm 41, my daughter's in university, and my husband left me ages ago." No one really cares about her sad story, but after Chow finishes paying and stamps the paperwork, he starts to leave. She rushes after him to return the remaining 50 cents, but trips on the stairs and almost falls on him. Chow quickly moves aside and carries her on his back to the hospital. But once they arrive, he collapses from exhaustion and ends up being admitted instead of her. When he wakes up, she tells him the doctor said he's malnourished. She had to take his wallet to pay the hospital bill since she had no money with her. He counts the money to see what's missing, and after they're discharged, gives her his account number to transfer the money back. She says, "How about I treat you to dinner since you're malnourished?" But he replies, "No way, honey. You think you can fool me?" When he learns the dinner isn't part of his hospital money, he agrees to go. She takes him to a restaurant, but he's uncomfortable. He's used to fast food and even orders from the car usually. The whole time, he tells her weird things, like how a bowl could fall off a table due to lack of friction, things he reads online. He acts like he's never sat with another human before. We wonder why he's paying his brother's debts, despite Suk being such a bad guy. Lee's never met Suk, but says, maybe it's God's blessing that Chow is so kind. Chow says his brother was actually very kind when they were kids, always defending him from bullies, but bad company ruined him. Lee says, bad friends are better than bad nutrition. The next day, Chow visits the doctor and learns his condition is serious. The doctor asks, why do you only eat chips? Chow replies, I'm a food safety inspector, and chips are the cleanest thing people eat. The doctor says, that's nonsense. You need real food and meds, and no injections, right? Chow says, fine, just no injections. He calls Lee to send him money, but she says she has no funds on her card. Meet me at 6 p.m. outside the office. I'll give you cash. He arrives early and waits, but when she comes out, she says, sorry, I forgot to withdraw cash. Can you take it later? He gets angry. Didn't you say there's no money on the card? Are you trying to scam me? She says, no. How about you come to my place for dinner to prove my good intentions? He agrees and goes. She prepares fresh vegetables, and he's so happy. He hasn't eaten home-cooked food in forever. She asks why he never cooks. He replies, I make great tea. He tells her about the doctor's warning, quit chips or die. She says, let's eat dinner together, daily. I don't like eating alone either. We can call it food friendship. He agrees and offers to teach her driving in return. After dinner, he gives her money so he can keep coming back for meals. He's happy when she calls him sweet. Over time, their bond grows stronger. They act like teenagers, watching movies together, using bunny filters on video calls. Chow is very naive. He's never known any woman. He asks his friend at work what women like. The friend jokes, wait, you're with someone. Chow nervously denies it, just curious. The friend says, women like funny guys. Be cheerful, say you missed her. But when Chow tries to act cheerful, he becomes awkward. Still, Lee is patient, hoping something good comes of it. She hints at wanting to go out together on a day off, but Chow doesn't get hints, so she says it directly and takes him to the beach. There, they watch people, and Lee wishes she had that kind of life. Eventually, she grabs his hand. Later that night, Chow comes home and finds his brother Suk waiting like a ghost. He screams. Suk demands to know about the woman. He even meets Lee to warn her to stay away from his innocent brother. He's her legal guardian after an old accident. He accuses her of looking for a man to live off, even though she has a grown daughter. Lee snaps and says, you're the real thief, stealing your brother's money for gambling and taking loans in his name. He pays them off because he's too kind. There's nothing romantic between us, just dinner. But Suk doesn't care. He warns her, I've been respectful so far, don't expect it next time. Lee goes back to work, angry, and purposely stays late to avoid Chow. He keeps calling. She ignores him. He waits outside her house late into the night, despite a stomachache from years of poor diet. She tells him to quit his job to heal, then find another later. Eventually, he listens and submits his resignation. Everyone at the company is shocked. They know he's too scared to do something like this alone. They find out about the woman and realize she gave him courage. The CEO decides they must separate them. Chow is too valuable to lose. Meanwhile, Suk teams up with one of his female friends to seduce Chow and break them up, while Lee and Chow are walking together on the street, completely unaware of what's happening around them. The girl Suk hired is following them. The CEO is monitoring them, and Lee's ex-husband, the snake hunter, is chasing them in his car. But because he's driving too fast, he ends up running a red light and causes an accident. A snake escapes from his car. Chow and Lee were originally just heading out for lunch. But the CEO suddenly shows up at the same restaurant, pretending to be there by coincidence so he can sit with them. During the whole lunch, he keeps flirting with Lee, but she is totally disgusted by him. Eventually, she gets up to go to the bathroom and sees someone standing outside spying on them. Instantly, she grabs her by the hair, ready to fight, but stops when she realizes it's Yoon, her close friend. Lee takes Yoon back to the table to join them for lunch. Afterward, they all head to the bar where Yoon works, have a few drinks, and each person eventually returns to their home. Chow walks Lee back to her house, but before he leaves, she gets a call. It's about her ex-husband's funeral. They immediately go together. The next day, Suk angrily confronts Yoon for not doing what he asked her to do, but she scolds him. "You're standing in the way of your brother's happiness. Just leave them alone and live the rest of your life clean." He gets extremely angry and storms off to the restaurant where Lee and Chow are sitting. Without warning, he slaps his brother across the face. Lee immediately defends Chow and slaps Suk back. Suk then hits her too, saying, "No one is better than anyone else." That's when Lee's daughter, Jin, jumps in and punches Suk as well. After this slap fest, Jin drags her mom out of what she calls this filthy scene, but Lee refuses to leave. On the other hand, Chow is completely broken and lets his brother drag him out by force. The next day, Chow goes to Lee's house to apologize. She tells him, "I transferred the money I owed you. It's better if we never see each other again, for both our sakes." Chow is heartbroken. He becomes deeply depressed. He can't focus at work, can't eat, can't function. Lee also becomes severely depressed and doesn't want to continue living. But one day, Chow gathers enough courage and waits for her outside her house. When she returns, he proposes to her. Sometime after that, Chow opens up and tells her the real reason Suk hates women. When they were young, their mother favored Chow and always took better care of him. Suk always defended his little brother from bullies and felt guilty about something. Then one day, Suk discovered that the woman he thought was his mother wasn't his real mother. He found out his actual mother had abandoned him when he was a child. She would only show up now and then to take money from their father. Eventually, their father refused to give her anything, so she forced Suk to go with her to pressure the father. But shortly after, she abandoned him again. That broke him. He lost faith in everything and started wandering the streets, but Chow's mother always worried about him. She looked for him every day until one day she saw him, and in her joy, she ran across the street to reach him. Sadly, a speeding car hit her and killed her on the spot. Suk was left holding her in his arms, and that traumatic scene left him with a permanent mental and emotional injury. Because of that injury, neighborhood kids bullied him, calling him stupid. He struggled through school, but through it all, Chow says, "Suk never left me, no matter what I was going through. He always protected me. But still, he turned bad because of everything he saw in life. And since then, he's hated women because of what our real mother did to him." While Chow and Lee are having this conversation, Suk is drunk and heads to Lee's house to cause trouble. But he runs into Jin instead, who beats him up and pins him down with a hunting rifle. When Chow arrives and sees this scene, he thinks Suk came to assault them. He yells, "What are you doing here, brother? Why?" And for the first time ever, Chow beats his brother down until Suk is bleeding. Lee then kicks both of them out of the house. Chow feels defeated. Like every time he tries to fix things, they just get worse. The next day, he submits his official resignation from work, packs his things, and goes home. He spends the entire day depressed, doing nothing except running for long distances every day, until he's out of breath. A few months pass like this. One day, he visits a restaurant, trying to break out of the emotional hole he's fallen into. Unfortunately, he bumps into Lee there. They sit and talk. Chow tells her he resigned from his job, paid off all his debts using his end-of-service bonus, and even mentions that Suk has changed. He's working now and quit gambling. She tells him she also paid off all her debts, bought a car, and has become a really good driver. Then she asks, "But the important question is, are you eating well?" Chow proudly says, "Of course, I care about food now. Just look at me." After this talk, he walks her halfway home and then returns to his place, crying alone in the street, realizing he's back to square one. But unlike before, he walks straight to a bar, gets drunk, and loses consciousness. There, he runs into one of his old friends, who's shocked at how much he's changed. A few days later, Chow gets an invitation to appear on a TV show about the dangers of eating too many potato chips. Right before going on air, the company director calls him and says, "Don't worry about us. Just speak the truth. Also, I heard Lee is leaving the country in 2 days. I thought you should know." In reality, Lee wasn't leaving the country at all, but the CEO just wanted to stir his emotions. During the show, Chow can't concentrate on anything being said. When they ask him to speak, he looks into the camera and confesses his love for Lee. He says he can't live without her, and he wishes they could go back to the old days, having dinner and talking like before. When Suk sees this, he feels terrible. He goes to Jin and apologizes for everything. He admits he only came to fight them that day, but it was all his fault. Chow had nothing to do with it. Later, Jin returns home and asks her mother to bring her some fruit to her room for studying. Lee is surprised. She's never seen her daughter study before, but she brings it anyway. When she enters the room, she finds Jin has opened a video of Chow's TV appearance and tells her mom, "Go see him if you want." Lee immediately rushes out and finds Chow in the street. Eventually, they get married and open their own business, selling sushi in the street. And that's how the movie ends. If you've reached this far, don't forget to like the video, leave a lovely comment, and subscribe to the channel to catch all the upcoming recaps. Goodbye.